So today we're going to talk about a more serious subject. That is the subject of Sandra Bland. I don't know if you've heard about her case, but she was a 28-year-old young black woman who was pulled over in Texas for a minor traffic infraction, not signaling when switching lanes. And she was there in Texas for a job opportunity, but something that was a minor traffic violation ended up escalating into her being booked and then later being reported to having committed suicide while in police custody.
This angry is not, it doesn't have enough power to describe how this makes me feel. Not only the part about her having allegedly committed suicide, but just the whole way that the situation was dealt with. Every day, people talk about how she deserved it because of her being belligerent or angry, but why shouldn't black people in general be angry in this country? The moment you hear whoop, whoop, or see a cop siren, you automatically tense up. You automatically feel like, okay, this could possibly be my last, whatever. This could possibly, I could die after this. And I know this for a fact, okay, she was angry. She had every right to be angry, not just in her situation alone and what, she was dealing with, but in the bigger picture. In the bigger picture that this happens every single day. Some cases may not end up in death, but the discrimination and the racism and the police brutality and the way that these situations escalate so easily because we give cowards badges and guns to make them feel superior is beyond me.
And that's really exactly what it is. He pulled her over for a minor traffic violation. He stated in the video he was going to give her a warning. Yes, she was angry. Yes, she was, arguing with him. But, plenty of people have the right to be angry. Me being angry does not warrant my arrest, and it does not warrant my death. Just because I'm angry doesn't mean you deserve to kill me. Yes, maybe she shouldn't have been angry. It's the sad fact that as a black person in America, we do have to bite our tongues. We do have to, you should respect authority, period. But we do kind of have to put our ego, our dignity aside and really just suck it up, because this is what happens. We don't have a right to feel any type of way, because if you feel some type of way, it's justified why your death occurred. It's justified that he did all of that to her. And no, it's not justified. It's the fact that he pulled her over just to give her a warning, and because he felt like his authority was threatened, because he felt like he had to assert his power over her, it ended up the way it did. That's why it ended up the way it is, because he felt like he had to assert himself over her. He felt like his job is not just to serve and protect, it's to be respected and to put her in her place, which is what he then went on to do by telling her to put out her cigarette, by pulling her out of the car, by arresting her, and now she's dead.
Things escalated after she refused to put out her cigarette. Yes, initially she was angry, initially she had an attitude, but that's not against the law. And neither is putting your cigarette. You're driving, unfortunately, I'm not a smoker and I don't like smoke or whatever, but unfortunately, driving while smoking is not against the law. He, after giving her the warning about not signaling, she was signing it, like she said, she was signing it and doing whatever she had to do. She still had an attitude. So he felt the need, okay, let me once again attempt to assert authority by telling her to put out her cigarette. She already seems aggravated, agitated, and annoyed. But let me push the envelope by asking her to do something that's not my, I don't have to ask her to do this. I don't have to tell her to do this. So her smoking, which smokers allegedly do to calm down, her smoking had absolutely nothing to do with the reason she was being pulled over. But you do realize, as he's speaking to his superior, I tried to calm the situation down. Did you really, dude? After you told her to put the cigarette out and she refused, that's when it escalated. That's when you felt, you just told me no. I'm an officer. You should listen to me. I have a taser. I have a gun. I could light you up. His words exactly. because you refuse to put your cigarette out. Not because you refuse to give me your license and registration. Not because you refuse to pull over when I initially told you to pull over. Not because of anything that would technically break the law in a way when you're dealing with police officers, but because the simple fact that you did not put your cigarette out, now I must open your door. Now I must yank you out of your car because you refuse to get out. That's when the situation escalated. That's exactly when the situation escalated. Yes, she did. People are, oh, she deserved it. If she would have just, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Unfortunately, we do live in this world where us as African Americans have to yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, these fucking police officers. But at some point in time, when do we get not the power, but we are people and they are people. But since they have a fucking badge with a couple numbers on it and a gun, they feel that, okay, I'm above you. I'm God. I can play God in this world.
It's just so heartbreaking to me that we have to tell our sisters, our brothers, our family, our friends, like we have to tell them, we have to sit them down and have a conversation with them, because it's gonna happen. People get pulled over every day. We have to sit them down and tell them, look, when you get pulled over, like she said, yes ma'am, no ma'am, like you have to do this in order just to survive. Like it's ridiculous the amount of people that are dying from just getting pulled over the littlest, simplest traffic violations. They're dying from just getting pulled over from these things. And it's unfortunate, but like, I'm scared for my family and my friends, and I have to tell them, like, at least please just be kind so that you're not another name on the news that was killed over something that could have been prevented. Like, it's ridiculous and something needs to be done about it. Instead of just blaming her, why don't we actually look at the police officers and the way they're trained and the way they go about these things, instead of sweeping it under the rug as another issue. Like, it's ridiculous to me how often this is happening. This is like something on my Facebook wall every day, literally every day I see a story like this. It's insane, and it's just like nothing's changing. It's just another story. That's what I fear. This is just going to be another story, another incident that happened, and nothing's going to be done about it. Like, why isn't there like an independent task force or a federal task force, someone outside of the Texas Police Department investigating this?
The same people who guide these people, the same people who associate with these people, the same people who know these people outside of their uniforms are now investigating these situations, and they're expected to be unbiased. Yes, it is a race issue, but it is also an issue of power and authority.
It's a national
literally give cowards badges and guns and allow them to go shoot up society because they feel that they can.
Like, the issue is just beyond just being black in America. That is an issue. That is the reason all of this is happening. But honestly, it's an issue for everyone, because think about it. Like, there is such a distrust between police and the community. They're supposed to serve and protect, but how can they serve and protect when we don't trust them, when we don't feel comfortable around them? Why, when they pull me over, am I scared? Like,
who are they serving?
You shouldn't have to be afraid of the people who are supposed to serve and protect you. You are supposed to honor and respect them and look up to them, but really, they're looking very disgraceful and distrustful, and that's not something that I would think police officers all over America who actually give their lives and do the right thing want to feel. This is a problem for them too. They should step up and do something about this. You guys are looking like a fool out here, and you have all these people hating the police force as a broad general. Not because of you, the few good police officers, or the many good police officers that are actually doing their job, but because of these few clowns out here killing people because they want to feel powerful.
Because they're afraid. Literally. It is the same way that people on the streets are killing people because they are afraid. They're people enough, their person walking around with just themselves is not enough. When you put a gun in the hands of a coward, they now feel like God. So you are literally giving these people rank, giving these nobodies who need to have some type of like power in the world, so they become police officers so that they can feel above people. And it's not saying that we're supposed to be equal, but we are at the end of the day all human. So to sit there and take a human's life because you feel you have a God complex and you feel, oh, she had an attitude with me. I told her to put out her cigarette and she said no. Bitch, that's her, like she said, she was in her car And since she was right about saying that she was in her car, he then asked her to step out of her car, because once she stepped out of her car, that's no longer her excuse to do what she wants to do, because that was her property. Now you're stepping out. Now I have control of the situation. He felt that he lost control of the situation. And so he escalated the situation. There was no reason for her to put her cigarette out, which is what she said. I'm in my car, I'm smoking a cigarette.
And who knows what else happened, because
Yeah.
the video is clearly edited in several parts of the video. So who actually knows what he cut out of there? For all I know, he could have threatened her life and said that he was going to kill her, and poof, now she's dead. Who knows? It's not in the video.
He did say he would light her up, apparently.
Like, clearly he had a vendetta against him, which is honestly almost always the case in all of these freaking incidents. It's just like bumping heads.
I honestly feel like he would have found a reason to pull her over, even had she signaled. Because what they do is drive behind you for a while, run your plates, think of a reason why I need to stop you. So I honestly feel like whether or not she signaled, she would have been pulled over. That road was pretty empty. She was the only car. He had just got off pulling over another female, presumably white, who he was super polite to. She was speeding, which is an actual, you could actually kill somebody by doing that. And it was just, okay, I'm going to give you a warning. Be careful next time. You go to school around here? Oh, great. Be good. Bye. But then, okay, I see a cop pull up behind me. I'm going to move out the way too. But like she said, she was just trying to get out of his way. And of course he pulled over. Like I said, I honestly believe he would have pulled her over either way. He saw who she was, like a black woman driving alone, I'm not doing anything. It's a random day. Let me just bother people, because that's what I feel like police officers do. There are huge crimes going on around in this world, and let me roam the streets just to look for people who don't stop for 5 seconds at the stop sign, who don't completely come to a stop, who don't signal when come on, bro.
Where does it end? Because right now it's unfortunate, but this is happening all over the country. I feel like I should put up a freaking map on my wall and check off the places where black people have died in America, because it's just I don't want to go there. I gotta be really careful, and when I go there, I gotta be on my A game when I'm there. Make sure I don't do nothing wrong, because people are just dying.
Yeah, there's places in this fucking world where, and excuse my language, but I am so angry. There are places in this country, we don't feel safe traveling. I would never step foot in middle America, ever, simply because I am a black woman.
Southern America too.
This is our country too. And you have these people who, even in law enforcement, who are still afraid of law enforcement. Because I feel like the black woman in the video, when she pulls up to the scene, and she too automatically, yes ma'am, no ma'am, to the arresting officer, and then lies and says, oh, I saw everything. No, you didn't. Just like Sandra Bland said, no, you didn't. You just pulled up. You are taking everything that he said and just running with it. You have no idea what happened prior to you pulling up.
I feel like it's like the 50s or
it
all
is.
over
really
again.
Is.
It's just
it really is.
You gotta be scared when you send your family out there, and you gotta tell your kids to be careful, because you don't know if they're gonna come home because they ran into someone and they died. Black people dying left, right, everywhere, and
my heart.
You just gotta
My heart literally sinks to the pit of my stomach every single time I see a police officer. It doesn't even have to, the car doesn't even have to be behind mine in an attempt to pull me over. But if, you know how you're driving down the parkway or whatever, you have the cops in the cut, just, keeping an eye on the speed limits and stuff. The second I see a police officer's vehicle, my heart automatically sinks. And it's not it sinks because, oh, I can't afford a ticket. It sinks because I don't want to die.
And they're unnecessarily aggressive. Police officers that pull you over are unnecessarily aggressive. He was trying to start something with her. He was trying to incite her. If you're pulling me over because I did not put my signal on, okay, I'm wrong for that. Thank you. Give me my ticket. Give me my warning. Inform me of the law. Move on your merry way. Don't like, pick at me. What are you doing? What's that cigarette? Put your cigarette out. Where are you going? What's like? Why?
Because he knew that she didn't want to be bothered.
Over?
He knew that she didn't want to be bothered, so he insisted on bothering her to escalate the situation. It was from the very jump. He said it himself. She seemed irritated from the moment he stepped to the car, and you knew that. So okay, you were being nice, okay, but I'm gonna let you off with a warning this time. Next time, signal, have a nice day. Kill them with kindness, so they say, not literally fucking kill them. These police officers, we've been in a situation on her birthday where we're literally having a good time, just finished shopping, we're in a car driving down, this is NYPD. We're blasting music. So we can't hear the sirens, and plus they were not in your normal cop car. They were not in a cop car. They were in some type. They were in a van without lights. So it's not like we saw the lights or anything. They attempted to pull us over. We continued driving, not on like a chase or anything like that. We just were ignorant to the fact that they were attempting to pull us over. So the driver continued driving, and then I was in the back seat. I turned around. I was like, oh, I think you should stop. So we pulled over. Initially, I thought it was like people trying to, like, paramedics or whatever, trying to get past us. So we moved over but continued driving, but like on the side. And that's when like the sound whoop, whoop, kept going off. And so I was like, wait. She turned the music down. I was like, we're being pulled over. We pull over, guns drawn, step to the vehicle. Three cops on each side,
both sides of the vehicle,
each side of the car,
flashing lights inside with their hands on their gun.
The one at the driver's door had his gun in his hand. The other two had their hands on their guns. We're 3 females in the car.
At night in
New York. And this was not too long after all those cases in New York where people were dying and police brutality. This was in the midst of every news station talking about police brutality.
So we're scared.
So we're terrified.
And the officer, my mother rolls down her window. She's polite. She's not challenging him in any way, but
he comes with the attitude, because I guess we didn't initially pull over when he wanted us to, which we didn't know.
We explained, oh, we had the music on, we didn't know you were trying to pull us over. He never tells us why he's trying to pull us over. He makes my mother gets out of the car.
He starts questioning because her mirror was broken. It was working, but it was taped up. Remember?
He's like, what's wrong with your mirror?
What's wrong with this?
Like, why did you pull us over?
And he continues to brush over the question. She's still like, why are we being pulled over? So he's like, step out of the vehicle. Still never told her while she was being pulled over. Pulled her out of the vehicle, took her to the side. We're scared. The cops are still on our sides of the door with their hands on their guns. I'm terrified to even turn around to see what's happening to her, but I still do. So you had an iPod Touch at the time with you in the car, so you turned around and she started to record, and the cop that was on her side of the car was like, put your phone away, and she's like, it's not a phone, like, I'm not doing anything, like, he's like, put your phone away. So the cop who's dealing with her mom in the back comes. He's the one that they all kiss ass to. He comes in front. He's like, put it away. She's like, I'm not doing anything wrong. So he's like, get out of the vehicle. Pulls her out of the vehicle. Meanwhile, I'm still in the car. There's a cop guarding me right here. 1 black cop, 2 white cops. The black cop is still standing there taking orders. He stands there. He's still guarding me. They pull them both out of the car. Meanwhile, while this situation is happening with them behind the car, I'm terrified to even turn around. This cop is telling me, he didn't tell me this, but I can tell that he was just as afraid of the situation as we were, because he stated, I'm sorry. He said he was sorry. He said he has to do what he has to do. He mentioned that one of the cops, the main cop who was the most belligerent, was in charge. He mentioned that he was a rookie because he was being really nice to me because he was in the midst of flirting. So then while he's doing that, he tells me, he's like, honestly, we pulled you over because we thought you were 3 black guys. Her mom had on a hat at the time. We both were in the back. I was in the back, she was in the passenger seat. I guess he kind of saw her hat and assumed she was a man. And he said that's why we pulled you over. Long story short, the driver, her mom, never gets told why she was being pulled over, never gets a ticket, never gets a warning. There was no traffic violation, nothing. However, she gets a ticket for disorderly conduct because she refused to put the phone away. It is the very same steps that were taken kind of in the Sandra Bland case where he didn't feel super in charge when he was giving her the warning and everything, but as soon as he told her to put the cigarette out, that's when he had to, put his foot down and I'm in charge if you don't listen to me, even though you have it, smoking a cigarette has absolutely nothing to do with anything. If you don't listen to me, I'll let you know that I'm in charge. The very same thing. She was doing nothing wrong. It's not against the law to record police, as we've obviously been told after every case has been, people have been recording for a while. She lets it be known, like, I'm not breaking the law, I'm not doing anything wrong. But since that was basically undermining his authority, measures had to be taken. She had to exit the vehicle. Like, she had to, I don't know what took place back there, what was said to you guys.
He pretty much was like, I asked you to put your phone down, and did you put your phone down? No. Okay, so then I'm going to give you a ticket for disorderly conduct. He basically was trying to find a reason to give us a ticket out of this whole situation so that he didn't pull us over for anything.
Yeah, because he wouldn't feel stupid because he assumed, he made an assumption. And still had never given the driver, when you initially make a traffic stop, it has nothing to do with what the passenger's doing, unless the passenger is toting a gun out the passenger side window. When you pull a car over, you don't know anything about that passenger. You ask for license and registration from the driver of the vehicle. The passenger has nothing to do with what's going on. But since he hadn't had a lawful reason for pulling over the driver, he then had to find reason in the passengers, asking her for her ID and her license and registration, her license and why is she doing this and stuff. And then he had to feel empowered. And that's what I feel like is a problem with these cops. They have to feel empowered in any way. They have to feel like I'm in charge. No matter how minute the situation is, no matter how dumb my request is, you must follow it because I'm in charge. Maybe spit your gum out while I'm talking to you. I'm not doing anything. I'm just chewing gum. Like, you know what I mean? It can be the smallest of things. And we were in a situation where senior ditch day, I was in high school, and we went down to the shore. And it just so happened that the way we were split up into vehicles, it was a car full of African Americans and it was a car full of Hispanic kids, but they were all of lighter skin. So to someone driving by, you don't say, oh, they're Hispanic versus they're white. You just know that if they're not black, they're white, basically, in this situation. So my friend is driving, I'm not going to say any names. He's speeding down the parkway. I call the passenger in his car and I'm like, listen guys, slow down. State troopers are all over the place. Mid-sentence, whoop, whoop, we're being pulled over. The car full of the black kids are being pulled over. We pull over. I tell my friend who's driving, I said, make sure you ask why we're being pulled over. Because we were doing absolutely nothing wrong. I was keeping an eye on the speedometer because I saw all the cops around. So we weren't doing anything wrong. We all have seatbelts on, everything, whatever. He gets out the car. Old, like, southern guy. You can hear the southern in his voice. Just real, arrogant. He has his hand on his gun again. And it's in the middle of the day, but he takes the flashlights out and puts them in our faces and stuff while he's checking out the vehicle. He doesn't even initially go straight to the driver's side. He checks out the back, the rear window, like comes around, looks in all of everybody's faces in the back, comes around, and she finally rolls down her window. First thing she asks is, he's like, license and registration. She pulls that out to give it to him. She's like, why am I being pulled over? He's like, well, you weren't wearing a seatbelt. We all have seatbelts on. She has a seatbelt. She was like, I have a seatbelt on. He's like, you must have just put it on. We know where we are. We know that this is America. We know that we can't challenge the police. So even though we did nothing wrong, we must stay quiet. That's the world we live in, where as African Americans, we just must stay quiet. Bite our tongue. Yes ma'am, no ma'am. Keep our heads straight. Not make eye contact. Don't suck your teeth. Don't say the wrong thing. And it's not even a matter of being disrespectful. You just can't say what they don't want to hear. Even if it's not rude, even if you say, even if you dispute what they're saying, I had my seatbelt on the whole time. That is grounds for, you know what I mean? Like, are you disrespecting me? Are you challenging my authority? Any and everything we do is looked at as that. And people talked about Sandra Bland having an attitude, and that's not against the law. What is against the law is using your authority and physically pulling her, threatening her by threatening to tase her and slamming her head on the ground. Sandra Bland talks about how her head was being slammed on the ground and she was hurting, and he's breaking her wrists and stuff like that, and her ear, she can't hear. Other cop goes, yes you can. Like those, she's telling you how she feels, you know what I mean? She's telling you what she physically is going through, and because of your authority, it's just, no you don't, no it's not, whatever. Like it's just completely brushed over. And I honestly feel like, you know, it's against the law simply to be black in America. You no longer have to do anything. You could just be walking your dog down the street, and since it's you walking your dog, it's against the law. That's really what it is. I just feel like we have to now teach. I feel like there has to be a course in school now how to deal with police officers, how to deal with authority. I have siblings, younger siblings, who I have to tell, you know, if you're ever in this situation, yes ma'am, no ma'am. We live in the 50s apparently still. Nothing has changed. We go through the same racism. Yeah, it may not be as obvious as sicking dogs on us and water hosing us down, but it's in different forms. It's in using your authority. It's now police. It's no longer civilians who just feel you don't deserve to be here. It's now people who we are supposed to trust, people who are supposed to protect us, people who get paid to kill us, basically. It's the KKK, those uniforms are now replaced with badges and police hats, and you know, those whites only signs are replaced with other things. It still exists. It's just in a different form. It is still very scary and a crime to be black in America just as much as it was in the 50s and the 60s. You think something changed because we have a black president? No, it has not changed. It has not changed.
It's a big issue I feel needs to be addressed by the presidential candidates running right now. Instead of Donald Trump insulting everyone, why don't he actually address some issues that's going on in America? This is a huge issue that needs to be talked about, needs to be resolved.
No, because you know what's an issue to him is quote unquote Mexicans taking our jobs and stuff. That's an issue, but not the fact that we're killing
police officers taking our lives.
Yeah, that's not an issue. That's not an issue. Because I'm so tired of being afraid. I'm so tired of seeing police cars and fearing literally for my life. It has gone way beyond just, oh, I don't want to pay for this ticket. It's literally become, I don't want to die. We are afraid. This is real world. This is not just news. This is not just, it's real. It is extremely real. That fear is real. And we need to talk about it. We need to raise awareness. We need to do something about it. Whoever we need to contact. Something clearly isn't being trained right with these police officers. It's not just white cops. It's cops, period. That not all cops. Not saying all cops are bad, but there are cops generally who are just afraid. So they're using their power and their authority and their weapons to take lives because they're so afraid of their own. I know that like being a cop is scary. I know that there's situations in which if you feel bodily harm that you must take measures to protect yourself. But it's become situations where you may, in this case, be verbally abused. That's not a crime. That's not physically hurting you.
No movement is ever successful on its own. This is something that everyone needs to take part of. This is something that should matter to everyone.
All these celebrity feuds, all of these, oh, I didn't get nominated. We don't care about that. At this point, I don't care about watching the VMAs, or I don't even know what date it comes out. I don't care who's hosting. I don't care who's performing. I care about whether or not I will get a phone call that my little brother has been arrested and ended up dead in a jail cell, or my little sister, or my cousin, or my father. That's what I care about. You guys have your priorities screwed up. Talking about celebrity drama and blah, 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 blah. Like, this stuff is real. This stuff is so real. Wake up, for real. Wake up. That's not just a hashtag, because we seriously are sleeping. Wake up and realize, I'm not saying go out and fear every white person or, but wake up to the real life issues. Wake up, politicians. Wake up, musicians. Wake up, actors. Wake up, anybody who calls themselves a celebrity, who has a voice in the community, who has a following. Wake up. Instead of having people dress like you and wear your hairstyles and like buy your makeup and your clothing, like, talk about real issues. Talk about what needs to be done. Get us to, like, donate money to these families. Do something.
Instead of undermining the Black Lives Matters movement by saying all lives matter, why don't you actually go out and do something? Why don't you write the chief of police? Why don't you talk to your friends and your family and your coworkers about what is going on? Why don't you join the movement? Show your support for the movement instead of trying to undermine it, because this is an issue that all of us face. Do you not have black neighbors, black friends, black coworkers, black family even, that are being affected by this, that are afraid and scared about what is going on in a country that's supposed to be free for all and equality for all? Well, that's not what's going on, and an injustice to one is an injustice to all, and you should participate and join it and do something about it. We all should, instead of just talking about it. This is a show. Let's talk about it, but let's do more than just talk about it. Let's do something about it.